Peace World, it's Patrick Come on Freeman, Angry Black Man Therapy, representing one half of We Act Radio, broadcasting live on the radical side of Martin Luther King Avenue, the Annabella of the nation's capital, Free Hill, City Hill, the Lineman and Costa, Frederick Douglass home. All right, I'm joined here by some illustrious artists and providers of art, and they are here representing Homegrown. Homegrown, this production is combining theater and spoken word. It is the result of a partnership between Spit That. Look at some verb over here. I'll say it again. Spit That. Okay. The Art Theater, the largest theater east of the river. We like to call it Kennedy Center East. And also the Woolly Mammoth. Maybe arguably one of the most radical homes of theater in the nation's capital. All right. Shout out to Mosaic Theater Company. All right. Now, I'd like to have everyone introduce themselves. But before we do that, I apologize. We're outside. It's the hottest day of the year. My studio is designed after the radio station Do the Right Thing. So as fate would have it, the AC went out today. So because the AC is out, we're out. Like Harriet Tubman. But as I said before, the revolution will not be televised, but will be broadcasted on We Act Radio, and it will not provide air conditioning. And having said that, we're all going to introduce ourselves, and we're going to start it with the young lady here, one of the beneficiaries of the new Crown Act, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm Kristen Jackson. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve as the connectivity director for Woolly.
All right.
Bless up. My name is Dwayne Lawson Brown. I am one of the co-hosts of Spit That DC and one of the co-facilitators for Homegrown.
What's going on? My name is Yalan Cisse, also known as Omicron Beatbox. I am a beatboxing poet, martial artist, community server.
Okay, you're going to have to close this out with a beatbox, so let's keep that in mind. When we're ready, when we're all said and done, we're going to wrap this up. All right, we're going to give that shout out to Bismarck Key.
What's up?
Hey, my brother.
What's up, everybody? I'm Christian Parks. I'm just out here. I'm out here being an artist, a teacher, just trying to make black people better. That's it.
It is.
Woo!
It is.
Well, I was getting in trouble saying that to a black woman. Just trying to make it better, baby.
Real life.
You don't need that lace front. Your crown has been bought and paid for. All you got to do is wear it.
Wear it. That's it.
And our other distinguished guest is Brother Malcolm. I put him out here just to bring some other ancestors into the space. Of course, we have Marion Barry right here behind us. We have, who's still with us, we have Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes-Dorton. And this is a mural provided by 51. But the reason I wanted to have Malcolm here is because this is the book that transformed my life. This is the book that is responsible for all of us being here today. Because had I not read this book, had it not had a profound effect it had on me, We Act Radio wouldn't exist. And so I felt that it was only fitting that the first interview that I conduct out here post-pandemic with a group setting that he was a part of. So there we have it, and you guys can take it away. Just tell everyone here what is Homegrown, what is your participation in it, how it came about, and how people can enjoy it.
So I guess I'll jump in. So the thing with Spit That, right? We're going into our 20th year, and we've had this.
Hold on, he said 20 years. 20 years.
Woo! So, the 20 years of anything is a long time. And so 20 years of like coordinating performances and getting people from across the country to show love in DC, getting folks from DC to get national love wherever they happen to end up being. And that's been a gift to us. And so we've had this wonderful partnership with Woolly Mammoth through the connectivity team to make sure that there's a platform and a wider stage outside of the coffee houses and that we love, like the coffee houses and like the smaller underground scene we love to see. But this was an opportunity for us to not only highlight the way that Spit That has grown, and the way that DC artists have grown over time, but a chance to shine a light on Ward 7 and 8 in particular, because our community is one that's very rich and often overlooked. And so, as somebody who grew up in Ward 8, I feel like Homegrown is very important to me. I guess getting into the nitty gritty, it's like the real world, but with poetry, right? So you have 5 artists who didn't know each other at all. We put them all in Zoom rooms and did 3 months worth of workshops, really geared around performance, finding your voice, being able to share and perform that voice, and figuring out what story you want to tell. And we're now about to do the show at the Arc from July 9th through the 11th, and making art happen in public, in person, again. Like, it's incredible.
Shout out to someone who's been very instrumental in facilitating the Spit That over the 20 years. Acknowledge who's been working with you with Spit That.
Absolutely. If you don't know, I'm one half of the host team, the founder and creator of Spit That. Word to Drew Anderson, aka Drew the Broke Baller. And Drew is absolutely all over the show. So like you wanna pull up and experience the good vibes that we are sharing.
I think that Drew the Broke Baller has been like the Weird Al Yankovic of spoken words.
For sure.
I don't know if he accepts that, but that's my opinion.
I'm gonna let him know.
We kind of look at it like Weird Al Yankovic is the Droopy the Broke Baller of music.
This is the dismantling of white supremacy right here. There you have it. There you have it. Josh Gibson was not the black Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth was the white Josh Gibson.
There it is.
All right, here we go. Keeping it moving. Shout out to Bismarcky. Woo!
Yeah, man. I actually heard he's currently in the hospital. So like,
he's struggling.
He's struggling. There was a thing that went out saying that it was like he had passed away, and I started freaking out because Bismarcky is amazing. But I'm glad that he's still with us. He's doing well.
Yeah, but he's not doing well. He's
not doing well.
He's in a hospice.
Yeah.
So that usually means you're not doing well. This is all we can do for you, but make you feel warm and fuzzy in the meantime.
Right.
So, yeah.
But he's been doing this thing. I mean, what are you like trying to ask me questions about?
Of course.
No, we're gonna close out with a beatbox. I got this.
Try and get you in.
Yeah, man. So I guess my role in Homegrown. So it's actually kind of funny. So how this beatboxer ended up getting involved into like this poetry show, right?
Did you have money for a sound man?
No, it was actually through one of my good friends, King Kimbit. She's over. Shout out to her in Cap City, Cyprus. I met her through a meeting in a meeting over in Brooklyn. There was a Beatbox House party. Shout out to the Beatbox House. These guys are amazing. I was able to network with her, and this year I made it a point.
So I always make this point.
Yeah.
You say Brooklyn. Are we saying Brooklyn or are we saying Brooklyn?
Brooklyn.
Like
Okay.
he's saying New York.
So Brooklyn,
New York.
Yeah.
Brooklyn.
So we got
New York, Brooklyn.
But we are local and national.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, Brooklyn, New York. So that's about like a 4-hour drive. So I made it a point this year that like I was really going to pursue just my artistry in general. I've been kind of doing this kind of on and off, but I really wanted to. This year I was like, okay, I really got to just throw myself into it, really throw myself out there, and just try to sit as many situations as possible. Really put myself in the Thank you. So I hit up King, and she was just like, oh yeah, you're already down in DC. She just started sending me down a bunch of like open mics organizations that she's already partnered with. And I saw Spit That DC, so I was just like, all right, word, let me hit them up because they were right over here. Forgive me, I tend to kind of over ramble.
Talk like a beatbox.
So she sent me this promotion for Spit That Academy. It was actually Dwayne, who's on Instagram, he was just explaining what it was. So how I perceived it was, hey, if you come through and get a chance to work on your performances, you'll be great. So I'm thinking, word, I get somebody to come teach me how to work on my performances when it comes to beatboxing. Awesome. So I come into the class with the person, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to show off my beatboxing and get some work together. Okay, we're going to sit down and do some writing. I was just like, oh, okay. So, but one of the things that it was awesome about it is that like it really challenged me to use my talents in a different way. So like, especially throughout the show, or before the show, I was trying to figure out how I can include my beatboxing into my poetry. Come to find out that I can't say that I'm not a poet. I am a poet. I am, because I always had that kind of issue. It was like I already had kind of stuff already kind of set up, but I wasn't using it to its fullest capacity. And I feel like with this show and just with these classes that like I've been able to kind of tap into that. So now I have a different avenue to be able to express myself as well. So also adding that I'm not just a beatboxer, but I'm also I'm a writer and a performing artist.
So you have definitely developed new muscles.
This show is I would say my first like official like production company, like acting or performing in front of like a crowd for an official company. So like I'm really just thankful for the opportunity that you guys have given me to be able to grow. Like
space and opportunity.
Yeah, so and because it's always about giving back. Like I'm a community. Like I said before, I'm a community servant. So I work for the Covenant House of Greater Washington D.C. My thing has always been my thing has always been like giving back to your community as much as possible. Growing up, my mom, she always had a giving spirit. I come from a family of fighters and civil service, like fighting in all sense, like whether they're like chiefs, like running villages, or they're working in government trying to work for the little person, or they're literally like fighting people like as actual fighters. But we're always in civil service to each other. I believe it was one quote that always really resonates with me. It was Martin Luther King Jr. that said this. He said, the biggest question that's always going to persist in life is, what are you doing for others? So like whether you're flipping burgers at McDonald's or like you're trying to find a cure for cancer, we're always in service of other people. So being able to find out what your skills are, or what should be, or what they should be. You know, I don't know about some of these corporations.
Right.
Really just trying to give back as much as possible. And I feel like with this production that does it as well too by giving a voice to those that are voice 7 and 4.
We look forward to you exercising some of those muscles that you develop in service to others when you do a beatbox to close this out. All right. Yeah. Round this out.
Yes, sir. So for me, I'm from Philly. Shout out to Philly. Shout out to my home where I grew up. But Ward 8.
Name a beatboxer from Philly.
Don't do that.
Shout out to Ready Rock.
Not my art.
That's the cat name for the Roots Crew.
Marcel.
Shout out to Rozelle, Roots Crew.
So thank you. Shout out to Philly. Shout out to all of them. Shout out to all the greats of Philly.
Except for the Philly Police Department.
All police departments. All of them need to be dismantled and go. Like let's be honest.
Mr. Officer, he said.
Let's be honest. So yeah, so Ward 8 has become my home. And it has been a pleasure, I moved to Ward 8 because it felt like Philly. It felt like a small little piece of Philly. People that I know, the sounds that I know, the walking back and forth down the street that I know. And so it was real good. And so being an already artist, being a teacher here in the district, shout out to Ron Brown College Preparatory High School, the #1 school for black men in the nation. Shout out to them to really, be a teaching artist. What does it mean for me not only to just teach the young men that I work with, but to make myself uncomfortable so that I'm constantly learning, so that I can constantly be teachable. And so this was the opportunity. Shout out to a virtual year. Shout out to making it to the end of a virtual school year. Shout out to my students, the class of 2023, who made it to the end. But then it was time for me to play. And I always tell my students that when you are trying to find your best, play first. Find some place to play. Find some place to be safe. And when you find those things, you'll find what you're good at. And when you find what you're good at, do it. Do it your best. Do it with your best. Find people who are better than you so that you can do it better. Shout out to Spit Dad, people who are definitely better than me, who have been doing it longer than me. Shout out to them. Shout out to everything that they have been doing. So I'm really here just being me, having fun, having a good time during my summer, but really trying to show my young men that one, it's all right to be an artist and it's all right to make artistry your lifelong goal. But two, it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to find where you fit and to be there and to stay there and to live it in the fullest. And so please come out, July 9 through 11 at the Arc, you know, you gotta come through. You gotta come through the zone, and we gonna be there. And we gonna have a great time. You gonna laugh. You gonna smile. You may even cry a little bit, but that's all right because we all need a place to express ourselves, especially in America, where it's hard to be black and it's hard to be black and happy. So we found a place to be black and happy. So come to the art. Homegrown, July 9th through 11th.
And as an angry black man in therapy, I like to co-sign on everything he just said. I want to go back to a couple points that you made that really resonate with me because we are, I feel like we are the break the chain, break the cycle, stop the bullshit generation, and that includes dismantling the 500-year-old institutional white supremacy brick by brick. And he says, don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. I think we need to definitely embrace stepping outside our comfort zone. I think the way that the status quo perpetuates itself and maintains itself is by the reluctancy of people to go outside their comfort zone. I've heard so many people I respect say stay in your lane. And I wholeheartedly disagree with that. I reject that concept. They told Martin Luther King when he started questioning the validity of American foreign policy in the war in Vietnam, stay in your lane. You're a civil rights leader. Why are you talking about foreign affairs, boy? You know, but I think that we created signals to change lanes for a reason. And I reserve the right. I think everyone should reserve the right to change lanes at their leisure. I don't think it's fair to our ancestors to limit ourselves. That's somebody else's job to try to limit ourselves. Another point that you said that really resonated with me was when you said that that if you want to do something, that you must first play, have some fun, because imagination is more important than knowledge. And so if you're creative and you're taking on a bigger project that's going to take you outside your comfort zone, you should play with it first, right? Yeah. Well, that may sound, unproductive to some people who don't use both sides of their brain. But for those who still subscribe to institutional white supremacy, they need someone to stamp and validate what you just said. Google provides a playground for their employees. They get nap time, they got toys, they can ride around in the building. They got swings for adult-sized playground. That's what they had. All right, so you could have been doing a consultant job at Google right now, and paying and charging them a sliding scale for that. But I just want to put that out there to reinforce what resonates with me. Because I think that if your friends don't inspire you, then you need to be friends. It's still sharp and steel. And so when great minds come together and sharp thoughts are shared, I think that energy is supposed to be acknowledged. So thank you for putting that in. All right, I hope I didn't take up too much time.
No, I think actually to what you were saying, right? Imagination for me is the source of knowledge. Like the ability, so many of the discoveries of this age, right, are the product of people dreaming big and imagining things that other people told them were impossible. That we now accept as fact,
Like airplanes.
Like airplanes, yeah. That was magical thinking some time ago, and now it feels...
It's just like, all right, catch a flight to go somewhere to be back at 11.
If God wanted man to fly, he would give him wings. Or imagination.
Exactly. And I think too, as it pertains to my work with Wooly, a lot of times people wonder, why Wooly doesn't have a traditional education department working with really young people. And I think part of that is because people of all ages actually need to be pulled into the act of co-creating and of engaging their imagination, because if we're engaging our imagination, we can also imagine the world to be very different than the world that we're currently living in. We can actually start to parse out, through the flexing of those mental muscles, right? What are the things that we are accepting as gospel? What are the ways in which we have been indoctrinated, and how we can actually begin to move through the world in the fullness of ourselves, unafraid, unashamed, feeling fully loved, both first internally, right, let alone externally, So that's why I think this work is so important. That's why thinking about theater and the arts more generally as like part of that like locomotive, as part of that train to actually get us to the place of really being able to say this is the beloved community.
This is the beloved community.
I think that
sounds like a line out of something profound. This beloved community.
Yeah.
Wow. I like what she said, that she said that we can imagine this world looking very different. I think that this crisis has created an opportunity for us to revisit how different this world could look.
Yeah. This pandemic has definitely shone a light on a lot of the issues that are in the United States. Like the fact that you've had people that were asking to be on disability and still work in these companies to work from home. They denied them, but now all of a sudden, because we're in a pandemic, it's now okay for everybody to work at home. Like that's something that I feel like needs to be kind of addressed, and just even taking a look at I don't know, man. I can kind of go off on so many tangents.
Go off. This is React Radio. Do something.
Okay, so the fact that there are only so many people that can afford healthcare or health insurance just shows the disparity of how many of just how people are able to afford healthcare and not be able to afford it.
So you mean to tell me the vaccines are free, and we made it free for everyone because we care about your health and well-being. But if you get sick with anything else, fuck it.
Yes. Pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to clarify that.
Okay. And even speaking on vaccines, I think it's kind of interesting. What I've noticed, especially, is that you have a lot of people that don't live in Southeast DC. They'll come to Southeast to get the vaccines compared to everybody else that's in the community. But
because the lines are shorter.
Because the lines are shorter. Why is that? Because as a black person, to be fair, to be honest with you guys, I am vaccinated, but I do understand the history of the government and the use of vaccines and how people can be wary of that. So with that history and that knowledge, I would be kind of worried about even trusting the government to put something in my body. You know what I mean? Right. But with that, I don't know. It's a really shaky line. Like, when do you tell somebody that, hey, you should get vaccinated or whatnot? This is for your health, or I'm fearing for my life because I don't know if you're trying to set me up. Like there are so many conspiracies with these 5G towers at the beginning that's talking about people dying from going off on weird conspiracies. The whole Popeyes thing, Popeyes chicken. I don't know.
Whenever someone says that phrase, I got to make sure that I put this footnote there. That the term conspiracy theory, the term itself, is a product of the CIA used to refute anything and negate anything that goes against their policies.
Okay.
So I was going to put that out. Y'all can go check that out. But I'm not saying that the validity of all conspiracy theories, absolutely not. But we always have to be cognizant that we have to use both sides of our brains, because as with everything else, there's some things are bad, some things are good, some things are true, some things are not. Yeah. So we got. I always want to hesitate when I say conspiracy theories, as if that term alone, everybody today, dismisses everything. So I just want to put that out there. Okay. We at the midway point. I want to continue this open dialogue. I want to talk about how you got started, what's your motivating factor, what draws you to this project, what drives you, because clearly you're not doing it for the money, which is makes you with some kind of socialist. So I want to do a dive into that a little bit. And for those who just joined us, this is React Radio. I'm Captain Freeman, ex-Blackman in Therapy. I'm joined with some of the cast and the progenitors of this production, with Spit That and William Avenue Theater and the Arc Theater Company. It will be premiering at the Arc, the largest theater east of the river, to the east, on July the 9th to the 11th. The shows are free-ish?
Free-ish.
Yeah.
Free-ish. They're $5 tickets. So there are tickets for different levels, right? Because we want to make sure that it's accessible. We got to pay for lights and stuff like that, but we want to make sure that people in the community can come see the show.
So how much would you charge Jeff Bezos?
Oh, Jeff Bezos need to do a sponsorship.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what that is. That's the you pay for the whole jump, and then we can make the show free. You know what I'm saying? For the community.
Okay. How about the Obamas? How much they charge?
I mean, you know, the Obamas got book money, so they too.
Yes, they do.
Big book money.
They big book money. They got audio book Grammy money.
Okay.
You know
So
what I'm saying?
Obama, if you want to come, if you just donate half the amount of money that you got for making speeches to Wall Street banks that you refuse to
I feel like 10% be enough.
I'd be
just
good
a,
with
no,
like
just a
2%.
cut. You know, just a cut.
Yeah,
For all the Wall Street
small
bankers that
slice.
you refuse to prosecute and declared who's too big to jail, just give a cut of that. We appreciate that for this homegrown production. And spit that. 20 years, okay?
20 years.
All right.
Yes,
Open
indeed.
forum. Open forum. What drives you? What motivates you? What drove you to this project?
I'll talk a little bit. This past year, actually, this past season, Wooly launched a core partner program. And in this core partner program, it's kind of a re-envisioning of some of the work that was happening through the connectivity department. And the idea behind it is, how do we really make sure that our partnerships, that our relationships really do feel like mutually beneficial and really are, I think, rooted in something that is more long-term rather than a kind of project-by-project relationship. And so part 2 of our inaugural core partners are the Art Theater and Spit Dat. Also, you know, shout out to some of our other core partners. They include N Street Village, Theater Lab, our new core partner, which is Black in Space. Yeah, they're so rad. And what core partner? Am I forgetting any of my core partners? Well, I hope not. But anyway, this core partner program was really designed to kind of reimagine how we are working in with community. And the idea for Homegrown really has been a long time coming. Dwayne and I have been working together since my very first year at Wooly. And today is actually my 7-year anniversary.
We gotta celebrate. We gotta do something.
I know, they told me that, and all staff today, and I was like, what?
We can do shots. We can do shots at Busboys and Pours in a
Hey.
7 shots.
Let's go.
So literally,
That's one for each and 2 for me.
I mean, it speaks right to like engagement work is really work over time. You can't just like come in and expect to build trust immediately. Like we've built the relationship between Wooly and Spit Dat over 7 years. It took us that. We had to do that to get to the place where we are now.
It takes 5 years for a business to get respect on a professional level, whether from banks, clients, other institutions or agencies. 5 years, anything other than that, you still training wheels.
And like I think that for us, it's actually really meaningful that our very first live in-person performance in the last year and a half is Homegrown. Like that is how actually important our core partner program is to Wooly.
That says a lot.
That's how essential connectivity is to Wooly. It's now no longer just a department, but it's a way of working and thinking about how do we work in a manner that is equitable. How is equity at the center of the work that we are doing? And part of my job is also to say when it's not, right? So I think that we are in such a incredible place organizationally, and that is only because of the relationships that we have and the people who trust us and who we trust. And like it's like this project is a labor of love. It's a long time coming, and I'm just really excited for it to be here.
Wow, you sound like a baby to carry.
I mean, in a lot of ways.
Well, don't tell my pit bull puppy.
All right, so what are you guys going to do to make sure that you don't drop the baby on his head?
Yes.
Like my mother did. Shut up, Mom.
Lots of rehearsing, lots of promotion, and just trying to be the best version of yourself, because ultimately at the end of the day, they already thought we were dope. We just have to be the best version of themselves.
Someone said to you, that you had to go harder, or you said it to yourself you had to go harder?
Oh, to myself, you should always strive to push
Okay, so
yourself.
what was the impetus for you to say to yourself, do something?
The opportunity to be great. There's so many opportunities like down here in DC. It's one of the reasons why I moved down here. I didn't mention this before. I'm actually from New Jersey. I'm from South.
North or South?
North Jersey.
Okay.
North Jersey. Yeah, you ever heard of Seton Hall University?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I grew up in that town.
You don't know Seton Hall? Okay. Good basketball program one time.
Yeah. So you want to just strive to just be the best version of yourself. I don't know how to best explain it. Like there's so many
I could dig
opportunities.
it. I had to get telescopes to be the better version of myself.
Yeah.
But all you had to do was, start writing.
Nah. There's so many motivations there. Like
You said you hesitated to acknowledge yourself as a poet. So what was
so because it wasn't one of those things that like I had done like acting and like performing. That's just something I do naturally with like friends. Like we'll come up with scenarios and crack jokes, and we'll like play characters like it's like no big deal, just like a regular conversation. But like I think for me,
that's a cool friend.
yeah. I try to surround myself.
I'm not gonna tell you what my friends not did when we share it. You play characters too. The stakes are a lot higher.
Yikes.
No problem.
So I mean, I'm sorry. What was the question?
You explain characters with your friends.
Yeah, so like I play characters with my friends, so like me being super expressive was just kind of natural. But to like the actual like writing process, that was something that was kind of new to me. Like I mean, you went to school, you had to write papers, or maybe if that was the case, you know what I mean. So like I wrote a lot of papers, but I wasn't any of those things where I was like, all right, I'm going to write how I'm feeling about a specific topic and perform it in front of people. It wasn't one of those things. I guess when I was presented with this opportunity to work on my performances, learning poetry was just a plus.
Learning poetry was a plus.
It was
That
just
plus should
it was
be applicable to public schools.
Yeah, that's it.
That plus should be applicable. Yeah. Yes, because we want to imagine what the world should look like.
Yeah.
And I think we're at a different space now where we went from suggestions to requests to demands to actualization. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's where we are. Like we're going down the road. Like they are not able to no longer refute the reality. And I think we're in a beautiful space. Going a year without seeing people's furniture outside on the street being evicted.
that part.
Going to not seeing long lines at DMV.
They're
Like,
actually
so many of these rules, like who made these rules? Like, I remember people being harassed for drinking in public, but now you can walk out the restaurant with your drink and, your license expired, no big deal. You late your rent, don't worry about it.
parking
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, and then we tell people this is a revolution. Like, really? What do you mean?
Right. Yeah. It's like, no.
And I got to keep saying this. I know the long-time listeners of Red Radio, all six of you are familiar with this statement, but I happen for some simple prosperity for the others who are listening, that we're all familiar with Martin Luther King's last week, but we're not as familiar with his next week's last week, which was delivered right here in Washington, D.C., March 31st, 1968. The title of that speech was Remaining Awake During a Great Revolution. He goes on to say in that speech that far too often people find themselves living in periods of great social change, and yet they fail to develop new ideas and new attitudes and new mental responses, i.e. imagination, that the new situation demands. They end up sleeping through a revolution. And he tells the story of Rip Van Winkle. The guy that's been sleeping, woke up. When he went to the mountaintop to take his great sleep, the sign in the story, and the sign on the path leading up the mountain said King George. When he came down the mountain, the sign on the road said President Washington. He had slept through the revolution. And hence we say stay woke. And that's why these critics of critical race theory, Europe is not a continent. Let's start there with critical race theory. Are so adamantly trying to negate it and describe it as a pejorative, like the woke people How's that a pejorative? Is that so you want people to stay sleepy?
Yeah, that's it.
Because this wokeness is a problem for you.
Yeah.
You know, you're too woke.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
here's some Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm here at Homegrown. Kind of why why I do the teaching work that I do, and especially teaching young black men of the District of Columbia, is that there's just been too long that we've been asleep, and not necessarily sleep because we don't know what happens. We can Instagram what happens, we can Facebook what happens, but we're asleep to ourselves. That I have students who don't know who they are because they've been told who they are. They see themselves through rap artists, they see themselves through actors, they see themselves through all of these things except seeing themselves through their own eyes. And as an English teacher, as a writer, as someone who constantly is looking for ways to express myself, I'm constantly telling my students, when you can talk about you beyond what everybody else can say, then you have something to put your feet on. Then you have ground that you can really work with. I can't work with you, and I tell them this. I can't work with you if you're not going to put nothing down on the paper, because that lets me know that you ain't got nothing. That's not true. Black man, you have something. You have something more than you actually know. And it's my job to help you excavate. Excavate yourself, excavate your surroundings, excavate who you grew up with, excavate your heritage, your ethnicity, excavate all of those things so that you can come to a place where you can say who you are without anybody telling you, using all of the words. I got to give them words. They'll be coming in with a lot of words, but I got to give them some words. And once we give them some words, they can then effectively talk about who they are. And when they can effectively talk about who they are, then they can effectively talk about what they can do, what they're really good at, how they can change the world. Because if you're just talking about the world in this abstract, general, and can't make it personal, no change is going to happen. But Homegrown, for me, is a place for me to do the work, for me to do the healing and the excavating work, for me to do the work of trying to figure out who I am. So when I go in front of my students, it's clear about who I am so that they have some clarity that there is a black man in the world who can say who they are unashamedly, who can say who they are with all of the pride, with all of the heritage, with all of everything, so that they can go, oh, I can do that too. Oh, I can express myself too. Oh, okay, it's all right that I'm feeling some type of way. Yes, it is. Express that. And so I'm really here. I'm really here with Homegrown and really thankful for the opportunity to come to a place where I can express myself once again, where I can really, really use this place to really do the work. It's really about me doing the work. That's my motivation. My motivation every day is that there's a family that I'm supposed to have, but the only way that I'm going to get it is if I do the work. If I do the work to heal myself, if I do the work to heal my community, if I take care of my mama, if I take care of my siblings, like all of that is preparation for me to be the best man that I can be, me to be the best person that I can be. And Homegrown is just another piece of that. How can I use my expression better? How can I use my words better? How can I invite people into a space where they feel like they can be better, where they feel like they can use their words better? And Homegrown is the spot. It's the spot. It's been the place. It's been the vibe. Like, I don't know. These 5 people have become friends. We can talk. We can, hang out. It's because we came to a place ready to be us, ready to be authentic, but knowing that we weren't finished, that this was just another piece of the journey, and there was more to go, and there was more to do. And so that's my hope. My hope is that I begin to work here in myself, with myself, yet with other people who are doing the work with themselves, in themselves, so that when I get in front of my classroom, August 30-something, I can stand in front of my students and say, you are okay here. And I recognize that you don't know who you are yet, but we got an entire school year that's going to work on and figure out who you are. We don't care about them books. You got to read what you got to read, but I want to know who you are. I want you to learn about who you are, because at the end of the day, when the school building is closed, when they don't really care, you got to go home to you. You got to look in the mirror of yourself. You got to do the work of yourself. And if they can be with me for however long, 80 minutes a day, and come out with a better understanding of who they are, of what they want, of what they can do, I'm all for it. I'm here for it, and I'm just grateful for Homegrown for giving me the space to do that work.
Yo, shout out to whoever hired you at Homegrown.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
To all the woke people out there,
Let's go, bro.
everything that's applicable to the sisters as
My man,
well. He
Kristen.
just works
Yeah, I just work at, for young men. That's it.
In that generation's captain.
But I do want to shout out actually the other members of our ensemble who aren't here with us today.
But wait, there's more.
And you can see them on the 9th
Yep.
through the 11th
Yeah,
of July
Yeah, at the Art Theater.
at the Art Theater.
Free-ish.
Free-ish. No, I mean, we have an incredible cast. We have an incredible cast. Not only do we have these two fine people who are part of the Academy, there are 3 other Academy members. Shay Zigare,
Yeah, Shay.
Shaharia
Great
Johnson,
Sharia.
Yes, Shaharia and Kiera.
Kiera Patterson, and
But wait, there's more.
there's more. We also have 3 featured artists who are going to come in, who are some of the legends of the scene. We've got Kenneth Carroll
Mr.
coming
Carroll.
You got the
in,
OG.
blessing us with some poetry. Yes.
He stayed correcting me on my Facebook post. Shout out to KC. Bless you and the family, big dog.
We are also being joined by Charity Blackwell, who is known throughout DC for all of her hosting and performing. Does a lot of work with Busboys and Poets. And last but not least, O-Slice is going to be coming through, and we are going to experience that mix of just like hip-hop and spoken word that is such a part of her artistry and her art form. And then on top of that, we got Dwayne and Drew.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
the OGs of the OGs.
Yeah.
it is going to be an amazing show. An amazing show.
So Dwayne, what is one part of this that you think is special to you? What is that nugget? What is that? And everyone else have one, please, if you want to share. But I'm gonna put him on the spot. Like, what is that nugget that you think needs to be shined brightly?
So there's 2 things, right? So Spit That, especially with Drew, and then with me as well, we've been a bridge, right? A bridge between...
Shout out to building bridges.
Yo, definitely. Between the quote unquote older scene of the DC poetry scene, so like your Kenneth Carrolls and your DJ Renegades, like cats that like really established this like literary like writing, but still like stage presence sort of energy into multiple generations of like a youth crowd that like like the DC Slam team, the multiple DC Slam teams since the disbanding of the DC Baltimore Slam team, and like I've just witnessed all these college students who've like come through and like done all this, and Spit That has been that bridge for them between like, oh, like this is my first time spitting to now I am a published author who has like young audience novels. I'm thinking Jason Reynolds and Candace Elo and Liz Acevedo and like all these folks, right? So
all of whom are very dope. Say those names again.
Elizabeth Acevedo, Candace Elo, Jason Reynolds, and there are more. All cats that call Spit That home. And so I think that's an important lineage that we get to hold up and be a part of. The other part of this for me, I am Ward 8 to my core. Like I'm a DC youngin. I grew up here. I was born in Columbia Hospital for Women. I saw
one of the many hospitals that has been closed in the nation's capital.
Turned into a Trader Joe's and some condos. I saw my junior high school.
I got it the React Radio, and not only was the Columbia Hospital for Women closed, but DC is the most dangerous city in America for a black woman to give birth. Let that marinate. There's a black woman mayor, and yet this is the most dangerous city for a black woman to give birth, the nation's capital. And you closed one hospital dedicated to women. Yeah, so.
Noted. Now you good. My junior high school, Hine Junior High School, right? Blue Ribbon School of Success, all that good stuff. Closed, turned into a Trader Joe's and condos. Like I've seen so much of my history change and like be taken away and erased. And if I were to go to like, if I didn't have my diploma sitting in my house, there would be no proof that I ever actually went to any schools because all of those buildings don't exist. Like, none of that existed. Like, my elementary is not the same thing. My junior high school is gone. My high school is a parking lot now. Like, all of it, like, ceased to exist. And so, being able to, like, travel the country, perform all these poems, that's awesome. That's what's up. But being able to come home to Ward 8, to walk out of my house that poetry paid for, you dig, or is paying for, let me be clear. It's not paying for. Poetry is paying for. Shout out to...
We need some of that Obama book money.
I about it. You dig? To be able to walk out of my front door, walk down the street to the theater in my neighborhood, and be able to share the stage with my fellow neighbors, my Ward 7 and 8 neighbors. That's the jewel to me. Like, that's really what really matters. That's what homegrown really needs to be. It's like, you know, and I'm doing this with my best friend Drew. Like, who can ask for more?
That's it.
It's like,
That's not a job. That's
Living a dream.
yeah.
That's living. Congratulations on living on New York. Thank you so. Thank you for living up. So, in the history of homegrown, in the history of your 7 years at Woolly Mammoth, in the history of U Street alumni, in the history of the Black Arts Movement, I think the best way to close us out and set this young man up and take us home is everybody just drop a line.
Okay.
All right. Now, I can have you just drop the line to start off, or I can drop the line to start off, and then the weight's on you to finish it.
Oh, that's a trick.
So the easier way is to start it off. But I'll let you marinate on that. While she's doing that, we're gonna do the PSA. Drew, please give them the contact information so people can get tickets and further information and attend these shows from July 9th to July 11th.
So I'm gonna talk directly to y'all for this one, all right? Homegrown. If you want to buy tickets, you can go to woolymammoth.net. There's a big old like splash page with information on Homegrown. The shows are July 9th through July 11th. If I'm correct, there are 5 shows. Five, right? You can buy your tickets for one of those 5 shows or multiple of the 5 shows. Whatever. I know for a fact that there are $5 tickets, and I'm pretty sure there are some $10 tickets. And yeah, like we're like teeter-tottering because of the weather, whether we're going to be performing the outdoors version, you know, COVID safety precautions and whatnot, or if like, you know, this hurricane blows on through, then we're going to be doing it inside, and then like spaced out, like large spaces and whatnot between seats. Either way, there's limited seating, so you want to buy those tickets, you want to claim them, and definitely pull up for us. Show out for the community. You heard how important it is for me. You heard how important it is for the cast and the family. Like, pull up and show your love and your support for your homegrown talent in DC.
And also, shout out to the Art Theater.
Yes.
In particular, shout out to the ICANN interns.
Yeah.
The Art has this incredible workforce development program for theater, trying to get young people from Ward 7 and 8 interested in careers in the technical aspects of the theater. And they are helping us put this thing together. They have been out there working with the crew and with the team, and it is so beautiful. It's so beautiful
Shout
to
out
watch.
to Kim Douglas at the Art Theater.
Yes.
All right, we gotta have it. If you drop a line, don't question us. Whatever line you got.
I think I'm going to end this.
Oh, she wants. Okay,
She's choosing to close it out.
challenge. Okay. And here we actually have this beautiful wall, and there have been a plethora of great people who have signed that wall, and the first of them being Mary Bell. And I wanted to make sure that there was a quote that summarized the significance of all those signatures there. This is the quote. I am the master of my fate and the controller of my destiny. If it is to be, it's up to me. Because of that, I'm going to say we.
I find myself finding myself always looking for myself wherever I go. And it's always a blessing when I find myself with other people who are also a blessing, looking for themselves.
Like that, man. I think the important thing is that we just have to get back to our communities as much as possible. Again, we don't know how great, we're always knowing how great we are in relation to some reference point. So we're always in reference to each other. So, yeah.
There will always be a river that needs to be crossed. There will always be folks that like to burn bridges. Still be the bridge, because somehow we got to get over it.
The end.
Nice.
Bars.
Nice.
All right, take us home. Look into the camera. Take us home.
Omicron.
On 3, everybody say spit that. 1, 2, 3.
Spit that!